Hello, 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 hello. Greetings, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Sound check. Anybody out there? Cthulhu, Dragon, Smog, hello. Chandler Scott, glad to hear you. Glad you can hear me, I guess is really what I should be saying. All right. So, welcome to, I don't know, Miniature Monday, I think is what John calls it. Hanging out with James while he works a little bit on his models. Cthulhu. Saw your post up in Discord. Your force is painted and ready to go. That's exciting. I'm really looking forward to getting that game in. I'm sorry we had to miss it on Sunday, but life happens. Turns out it was probably good for me that it happened. Made my Sunday just a little bit less complicated. So yeah, Monday, Cav news stuff to chat about. I guess we'll hang out a few minutes before we launch, just in case anybody else wants to show up. Hopefully we will see some of the regulars. Chandler Scott. Yeah, I wondered about that, Cthulhu. But yeah, so Scott, it's a hobby. Enjoy it however you want. I've seen your painted models. You can paint. Don't act like you can't. You just choose, I don't know. How can I put this? You seem to purchase at a greater rate than you hobby, which I think is a pretty common occurrence for most of us, except for maybe Cthulhu. He painted like all those Dragon Riders last week as soon as he got them. Yeah, Chandler Scott, definitely guilty. Definitely guilty. I had there was a guy in the trade and sell who messaged me about some metal czars I'm trying to get my hands on so I can increase my collection of metal czars, but I haven't heard back from him yet, so cross my fingers I can work something out with that fella. I've only got a couple of them, but it'd be nice to have a handful. I don't know what I'd do with them. Yeah, Cthulhu, I'm the same way. I don't play the game enough to look at a model and know what's what, unless the model's really distinctive. Like a dervish. Dervish stands out in my head. It's got that giant Mac on top of its head, fire drakes. Same sort of thing. Krugerrand, nice to see you. No. I have no desire. I'm a hobbyist, right? I love the look of the czar. It looks like a broadsword. I just, trying to find things that are, it's like the Black Lotus to me of old metal calves, is to find the old czar. Although, to be honest with you, there are probably things that are rarer. I heard somebody was the same guy from the Trade and Sale group was looking for a true scale hedgehog. Was there ever? I've never seen a true scale hedgehog, whatever that even means. I'm not sure. I've got a bunch of hedgehogs, but they're just regular tank size models. I don't happen to have one with me right now, but they're just, they seem to me like they're just normal size. But this fellow that was inquiring in the Trade and Sell group seemed to think there was a bigger version of the hedgehog available at some point. So I'm confused. I don't know. Maybe you could comment on that, Schmog. You know anything about that? Let me take a look. So basically, if I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but there's like some international organization runs a seed bank, like an emergency reserve of seeds from all over the world. Chandler Scott is like that for models, especially calves. It's like an emergency calf bank. If you need to know something about a model, he's probably got it hanging up in its original packaging. If the glue hasn't dried and let it fall out, but it's not like he's had them for a while. Krugerrand, nice to see you, man. What's going on? Kestrel and a Javelin. That is one way to distinguish them. They are spelled slightly differently. So yeah, tonight I'm going to work a little bit more on my attack squad, which technically should be done, but 300 samurais, 400 Skaven clan rats when I find... Yeah, Cthulhu, I've been at this a while. My thing is, after a while, I will just get rid of models. Like, I think I mentioned this last week. I literally gave away probably 2 Tau armies over the course of the last month. I just got tired of them sitting around. So, Krugerrand, are you the fellow that ran the demo game that posted about it on Facebook? I'm terrible with relating different nicknames to real names to names in general. Okay, so I got your note down here, James Smith Jr. on Facebook, I believe. Hope I didn't just say something I wasn't supposed to say. But yeah, I was going to mention that game that you posted up about. It's here in my notes. Sweet. Nice. So you're still going 4-player, 2,500 points, 10,000 points on the table? That's a lot of points. That's like that's basically a tournament game, 5,000 on 5,000 if you split the points up differently. I mean, that's a lot of beef. I'm curious to see how that goes. I hope you post about it. Take some pictures and give us an idea of what happened, what people are playing. So are the players actually designing their own forces now? Sounds good. No kill like an overkill. All right, so gave him 5 minutes. I'm gonna hit the news, and I'm gonna get started on my hobby hijinks stuff. So the big news for me. Good afternoon, Tiger Wraith. Hey, nice to see you in here. Yeah, Kruger. That's the way it goes when you're helping people, decide if they're getting interested in a game or not. You just kind of work them along until it's like starting a fire, right? A little bit of spark, a little bit of tinder. Eventually, hopefully it'll catch, maybe. Make sure the camera's still working. Nice to see you, Tiger Wraith. So, Cav News, the gigantic news. Tiger Wraith shared it over on Discord. John shared it in Facebook. Talon Games now officially has its own forum. It's https talon-games.com Battle.net, all the usual punctuation in the middle of all that. I'm sure if you're here, you've probably seen a link to it or something like that. It's a place to go and say all the things you want. I really hope it becomes popular because I hate, cross-posting. It's like some people are on Discord, some people are on Facebook. And, I'm never sure, I hate to post this. It just makes me seem like I'm spamming, right? So I really hope that the forums take off and become a popular place because I'd like to have like one-stop shopping for all my cab buddies, guys and gals out there. I would love to see that become a thing. And Kruger and Tiger Wraith, I agree with you. I'm just here. I'm just driving down the road, hoping to get somewhere interesting. This is not a lot of expertise on my end of this equation. Well, Kruger, Wednesday night is the night to ask questions. Go ask John because if he doesn't know the answer, he'll make it up and it'll be official. That's the best part about it. All right, so Dave C., who doesn't seem to be with us tonight, but that's cool. He posted up some pictures of what I'm calling, instead of Aquaman, it's Aqua Concussion. He has that nice, like, kind of relaxing blue, watery camouflage on that concussion he posted up over on Facebook and Discord. I thought that thing came out really good. The pink offset it. I thought it looked really sharp. I was very, very impressed by it. I was supposed to have my Slow Grow League on Sunday, a game on Sunday, but my opponent, her dog got sick and had to go to the vet, kind of emergency last minute. And, I love doggos, so there's never going to be any complaint from me about much of anything, and especially if you're taking care of a doggo. I am a big fan of dogs. I'm just a fan of stuff in general, kind of a fan of being happy and smiling. So yeah, we're going to try and reschedule that for 5:30 p.m. Friday, I'm hoping. Cthulhu, if you're still if you're still listening, one of us needs to call up there and talk to him and make sure that we can get that space. I mean, there are other people that might have that reserved already. I mean, there's no guarantee if we just walk in without asking to reserve those tables that we're actually going to get them. The people play 40K and all kinds of things there now, and so help me remember, or if you have the time, call Dice Addiction and try and reserve those tables for us. Cross my fingers, please. Pretty please. So, Cthulhu, he is fully painted for game one. I saw that even though he posted up the wrong miniatures. Sweet. Thank you very much, Cthulhu. Will just let me know the results if you could, please. I appreciate you helping out. You're awesome. Double awesome. And fully painted, as I said, even if it is the wrong squad. Just play whichever one you want. Nobody will really know. We're just here to have fun. There was that question, Tiger Wraith, that came up about indirect fire over on Discord that you were involved in, and especially the part about the back arc. I'm real curious how that interaction works. I was under the impression, and I could be 100% wrong, that indirect fire didn't benefit from back arc strikes. But I could be wrong. I know you guys were talking about whether the line of sight from the indirect fire model crossed through your back arc. The one thing I think I remember John saying is you can't just shoot behind somebody and get a back arc strike. I think that's a true statement. Whether it does for the target point. I mean, I get what you're trying to say there. I wish John was here tonight. It would be one of those nights. It'd be great to have him around so he could answer the question, because I didn't have a chance to try and look it up. I've been stupid busy at work. But I vaguely remember him saying something about indirect fire, even the target point roll, doesn't benefit from that backstrike thingy. Because, I mean, you could always just pick the target point behind the guy. I mean, unless the person's underneath like an overpass or something, you could always get a backstrike. I mean, why would you never, ever not do that? Does that make sense? Because, I mean, in indirect fire, you're always picking a point on the ground, not the model. And so you could always just shoot immediately behind the target, and every every indirect fire shot ever would, on its target point roll, get the benefit of backstrike. That seems wrong to me, but I'm no rules expert. Tiger Wraith, you know the rules way better than me, so I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know how that really works. Krugerant, who I'm going to try and remember now, is this wonderful person on Facebook, Mr. Smith. Ran his first Cav game, 4-player quick start rules. The pictures look fantastic. Like, as John said, there was a lot of open backstrike. So nowadays, Chandler, if the line of sight for your shot goes through the rear part of a model, you get a bonus to hit. I forget what it is, +1 probably. Something like that. Tiger Wraith will know, or he'll look it up or something. But yeah, so nowadays, if you can maneuver around behind your opponent with a direct fire weapon, and your line of sight goes through the rear arc of that model, you get a bonus to hit. And so there was some debate about whether or not indirect fire benefited from that, and I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. I'm not that great with the rules, so I'm hoping that Tiger Wraith, or maybe what am I trying to say here? John might pop in and decide to help us out with that. Hobby Habit, subscribing, tier 1, 4 months, 3-month streak. That's awesome, Hobby Habit. Glad to have you in here. Yeah, I saw that. I'll take a look at it after a while. I just, if you want to chime in and tell us the answer, that's great. If not, that's cool too. Hobby Habit, glad to have you. We were just talking about stuff. And then the last thing I think maybe Hobby Habit might know something about is over on the Talon Games forum, which is the most exciting news of the week. There's a player finder thread. And so if you have the desire, if you don't mind, go over there and post up in that thread where you live. So people might be able to say, hey, it's only, like an hour drive to get down to where you are. Let's schedule a game. I drive a couple of hours for a good game, if, once a month or something like that, if I had the time, if somebody had the interest, if they had a place to play. So like I said, I don't know what the rule is here. I'll go over to my messenger and pop it open. Back firing arc versus non-infantry models only. So yeah, all right. So I'm curious how that works, right? So let's think through that for a minute. I mean, how do you how is every indirect fire shot not a back strike? I mean, every time, right? So assuming that you actually hit, now if you deviate, it is what it is, right? It comes in from whatever angle it comes in at. But I mean, why would I never, ever, assuming that you're in range, for me to do so, why would I not always put my target point in your rear arc? Maybe that's John's intention. I don't know. Again, Tiger Wraith, I don't know. That seems like it makes a little bit more sense. I mean, so if I were turned around, I mean, that's the way it would work for direct fire, right? It seems like it wouldn't be any better for indirect fire than it would be for direct fire. So I think you're probably right about that. I'd just be curious to have John sort of summarize that for us. That would be very nice. Lively conversation tonight. I'm loving it. This is exactly the sort of thing I like about this. Shoot behind the target. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I mean, obviously, indirect fire, you can shoot anywhere you want, right? You're not actually targeting a model when you choose your strike point in indirect fire. You're shooting the ground, and as long as your target point is within extreme range, you can put that target, and in your arc, you can put that target anywhere you want. So in reference to Chandler Scott's question, so yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, if it only matters where the strike point originated from, then why would you not always put your strike point behind whatever model you're trying to damage, so you gain the benefit of the backstrike? And I don't think that's the way it works. I mean, I'm trying to point out how bad a rule that would be, in an effort to say I don't think that's how it works. And Tiger Wraith, I think you're probably right. I guess I would have to read the actual errata instead of just, we're just kind of, at least I'm only guessing from what I saw on the to hit chart summary. And that's the only way it makes sense, because otherwise it would be more powerful than it is for direct fire, right? Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, but again, without the rule to actually read, I'm only just going off the chart. I'm just pointing out, if it didn't work that way, then it would be OP. It would be overpowered. It would be more powerful than for direct fire weapons. Oh, okay. Sorry. Gotcha. My bad. I just assume everybody's talking to me. My bad. Egotistical. That's my name. Hold on a second. All right. So enough chitty chat. I'm excited about the forums. Get over there and get to posting. Make an account. Show your work, post your pictures of all that stuff. It's to me, it's the perfect place for us to gather all of this spread out stuff. Tiger Wraith is always pointing out that, when we post things on Facebook, some people on Discord don't like Facebook, and so they don't have Facebook, and vice versa probably. So hopefully you'll all come join us on just the regular plain old internet over there at Talon Games, talon-games.com/BattleNet, and make an account and sign up and share your stuffs. All right, now to the painting, because how else am I going to get hobby time? All right, so I got these guys I've been working on, these Fire Drakes. I did a little work on their base over the weekend, because I was thinking I was going to get a chance, or I was going to have to play with them on Sunday. And I got some of the edge highlighting done. I don't know if you probably can't see it. It's pretty subtle. Anyway, and so now, but I didn't get around to the yellow. So I'm going to try and do a little bit of yellow highlighting here. And then I got to do these gun barrels. I got some metals pulled out for that. I had this fantasy I was going to try and do non-metallic metals for them. And then I was like, yeah, stop that. So I'm going to go with this here Flash Kits Yellow, and I'm actually going to add some. This is just some white primer I have in a little squeeze bottle, so I don't have to drag out the big bottle. And I'm going to make a highlight of this yellow right here on my ugly old wet palette. And then I'm going to try, this is kind of liquidy. Normally when I do edge highlighting, I actually like the paint to be kind of thick. I'd forgotten about that yellow being an airbrush yellow. So this may not work. This may be too liquidy to be a good edge highlight. I like the paleness. I think that's about the right color. Now the question becomes, can I actually edge highlight with it, or is it going to be an exercise in futility? All right, so we'll start back here where there's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Let's see if I can get up here on the camera a little bit so that if this doesn't work, I haven't made like a faux pas out in the middle of everywhere. It's not too terrible, a little thick. And so I'm really just trying, I don't know, that may be too much. Worked out okay there. I'm just basically going out and picking out edges. A real painter would probably care about the light angle, and so I'm trying to put the edge highlight mostly where the highlight of the actual paint is. I don't know, I'm still not. I don't know. Maybe it'll be all right. I'm just going to keep going. I find myself second guessing myself a lot, and I decided that these are just gaming models for me. Well, I take that back. Pretty much all my models are just gaming models. So I'm just going to try and get this little line to go right there, and then right here, this little raised point. Just kind of trying to give the edge some separation, make it seem like it's a little bit shiny. See if I can stay on the camera here. I don't know about where you fellows are, but in Oklahoma, the weather has decided to go from pretending to be Seattle to pretending to be Oklahoma. In other words, it's hot. We have mid-90s this week and 99 by the end of the week for our high. And it's still pretty wet from all that rain we got, so it's just basically sapping all that water out of the ground. Nice and steamy. Nice and steamy. This is one of those times where I'm like a kindergartner. I got my tongue stuck out and my eyebrows. Oh yeah, look at that. You know what? Just going to pretend like that didn't happen. You missed everything. What? Huh? Who? Ilmarin. You're going to have to go get a hall pass from the principal. You appear to be late. That's okay. I think the principal is a nice guy. I'm sure he will give you a hall pass. So like I said, I'm just coming in here and trying to edge highlight just the bits to make it look like it's a little tiny bit shiny. It doesn't take much. I'm not trying to be Master Guns or Ross Hines. I don't have any. I'm just here to paint, just to have a good time. It's kind of like football, right? I might throw a football around, but I'm damn sure not trying to play it. Same thing with painting. I'll watch the real painters, and I will try and paint, but I am not trying to. I make no claim to being a painter. None whatsoever. So, yeah, good, a happy accident. Yeah, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm not taking no takebacks. I can't load the save game. I've decided this is one of those things where you just take whatever happens. So I don't know if any of you got a chance to, but I watched the Loki premiere on Disney Plus last Wednesday, and I'm going to try my best not to spoil anything, obviously, but or maybe you guys don't care. I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. Of course, I'm a giant comic book fan, so I would like a dog, deposit wrapped up in a Marvel Comics title, probably. So don't judge anything by me, but I really had a good time watching that show. My wife is a big fan as well, and so it's like date night for us. We work all day, and then we make an hour or two, or however long it takes to watch the stuff, and then after we're done watching it, we immediately switch over to YouTube and watch like all all the people that are really into it, who can do the sport, that like what everything meant and how the history's connected, and why this is that way and how it relates to some arcane story that we never read. We're just complete and utter nerds for that kind of stuff. Try and get this edge right here. Not terrible, I guess. Yeah, no. This yellow has been on there for a couple of years, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. And I know I seem to paint yellow like all the time. It's like the stupidest thing in the world. So one of our Slow Grow League players, Kyle, I've known him for a long time. He's a hoot to play games with. Very, very enthusiastic, very nice guy. I guess he's decided to paint his Slow Grow League stuff some yellow of some kind. So he was asking me questions on Messenger the other day about how to paint yellow, and I'm like, I'm trying to tell him not to do it without being rude, right? I'm like, man, yellow is really hard to paint without an airbrush. It's super hard. But I mean, I told him the paint brands of yellow that I liked and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure he went off to do it anyway. So more power to him. I hope he's super successful. But I was really trying to talk him out of it. I was like, man, are you sure you want to paint yellow? Yellow is a hard color to paint, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, John has been, I mean, I don't know when, but I mean, John a while back was talking about backstrikes being a thing. So I know they're in the game. I just don't really. Yeah, seriously, Elmer. you're in the intro video. I made a video up that's got some of your, what are they called again? Anyway, the orange and yellow guys. I can't remember. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that the game has got some, it's kind of pushing you to maneuver a little bit harder than maybe it has in the past to go get that bonus. I know in my favorite Cav game I've ever played, and Chandler is against your son, Brandon, I believe. Man, it was all about maneuver. We fought all over that board. We fought right outside my deployment zone. We fought in his deployment zone. There were models. There were dead models everywhere. That was a fantastic game. Still my favorite game ever. And I'm afraid that's the last time I'm ever going to beat that young man, because I played him twice now, and he's gotten better every time. I think he's surpassed me at this point. I mean, he had me dead to rights. He eliminated one of my models in the top of turn one. Like before I got to go, he killed a model. Not a tiny model either. What was it? Crusader? Is that the one with the 4 medium particle bolt guns? Yeah. ODST. Absolutely, Cthulhu. ODST. Not available in tournaments, which is what we were playing. So we actually just drove into each other's deployment zone. It was a fantastic battle. I tell you what, I wish it could have been recorded so I could watch it again, because I just had the best time ever. I mean, literally, before I got to go, he eliminated a medium cav. Just wiped it off the board with indirect fire. And at that point in time, I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to get across the board and get underneath his minimum range. And then it was just on, because he had a bunch of razors as well. I mean, it was brutal. All right. That's probably good enough for that guy. Yeah, Ilmarin. Get it. I mean, maneuver is a big thing. Making people get across the table and do bad things is a goal. So for the 2020 CavCon, I had a list I was working on before it got shut down, and I was going to do basically that. I had a bunch of models with particle bolt guns that wanted to superior mobility, so they could just run through the bad terrain and get across the board and get in people's faces and overdrive stuff to their heart's content. But I never got it assembled because it became obvious we weren't going to have a convention, and bada bing, bada bang. Yeah, just missed the whole thing. Nothing like just painting a line randomly down the middle of your model to make your day. And the Fire Drake is actually incredibly good. It's got, or at least the molds, or the castings, I guess is what I should say, that I have such incredibly crisp edges. I mean, this is one of the best metal casts I have ever seen. It's just, where it's angular, it is really sharp. And that makes it actually kind of easier to edge highlight because there's such crispness. I've got a duelist in this squad too, a Kickstarter 3 duelist. And I mean, it's a beautiful model, but it's not as crisp as this. I probably should keep this angle right here. Go around the edge of this rocket. Yeah, he does a really good job with those metal models. You know, I've heard people talk about that strategy before, and you know, and here's, I mean, I guess it would work. Obviously, probably it would be challenging, but it can't work in a cav, at least in the cav tournaments that I've been a part of, because there's always a maximum of 12 models, and that's not enough to do a rush. I mean, I would probably do some sort of swarm list in a tournament, given the opportunity. I mean, with calves, John always brings up the example of infantry, but you know how that's not fun to play with against if somebody brings like 60 stands of infantry. But hey, we don't allow infantry in the tournament, and I guess John's just he must have got burned or something, or had a bad experience. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Brandon did. Brandon had that's what I want to do, Krugerrand. All the Banshees. I love tanks. And I'm telling you, as soon as these Cossacks come out, I'm going to start working on my Almirathal unit so that I can run an all-tank force, which will not be effective at all, but that's not why I play the game. For the most part. Let's see if I can get this to dry out a little bit so I can do this very shallow. You gonna work? You gonna go? Are you gonna do it? You gonna cooperate? You gonna work with me? No luck. Nothing. So Krugerrand, that was me. There was a War Master tournament, which is kind of like a one-off. We've only ever played one once. It was the first time we had a tournament that was not. I guess I should get on camera. That was not the traditional cab tournament. Todd Farnholtz, Master Guns, put together a War Master tournament. It was a much smaller. I think it was like single squad. I can't remember all the rules, but I had the idea while mowing the backyard and brainstorming about a list, is like, I bet I could run all aircraft. And so, I thought about it, and I bounced my idea off my partner, Ross Hines. We were doing the podcast back then, the Big Stompy podcast, he and I. So we talked together quite a bit. And it seemed like it would work. And, I mean, just right off the bat, aircraft are almost all, in fact, I think they're all soft, which means things like MAX can't damage them. You can't shoot indirect fire at aircraft. And we were allowed to buy upgrades for our models in that particular game. It's the first time we were ever able to do that either. And so I was able to buy, I forget what it's called. It's basically strap-on armor. You can get extra armor versus energy and take a hit to your like physical type armor, or vice versa. And of course, this is the vice versa that I took. So I was actually more vulnerable to energy weapons and had superior armor against weapons like MAX and RAX and MRAX and things like that. It was yeah, that's it, Ilmarin. Yeah, absolutely. And it was yeah. So it was a list where, I mean, everybody knew that it was possible to play aircraft. They just didn't think about somebody playing all aircraft. And so, I won that tournament, but it wasn't because I'm a better player. It's just because I thought of something nobody else thought of. And I practiced it. Me and my buddy got together and played a handful of games against Ross's list. And just, to get the feel for how it moves and how to maneuver it and things like that. And so I was victorious that day. It's the only time I've ever. Well, I take it back. I've won one other miniature tournament a long time ago for a different game, just kind of randomly. Like I said, principally that's not why I'm here. I'm mostly just here to have fun. Now, when I get on the table, I do try and win. I'm going to make you earn your victory, but for the most part, I pick the models I like the looks of. Here, I think I might be able to. Do I still have this? I'm going to pop up an image, Krugerrand, so you can see the models I was talking about. I think this will go up. Yeah. So here's the force we're talking about. This is my War Master tournament force from, what was it, ReaperCon 2019, I think? Yeah. There's a lot of proxies in here because a lot of the aircraft that I wanted to run weren't out. I took advantage of, aircraft can fly Napa the Earth, and 4 of these aircraft had pop-up, and so pop-up is really, it's hard to shoot models that have Napa the Earth and pop-up if they know what they're doing, and it's just, again, it was a scenario where I had thought of a trick. I practiced the trick. I made sure I knew the trick's rules, and I won that tournament because nobody knew what to do against them. So anyway, that was my one claim to fame in Cav. Thus, I have the forum and the Discord nickname, the Red Baron. I am the Red Baron. Yeah, exactly, and that's what I think. All right, so if you're trying to play competitively in a tournament, your list needs to ask questions. Maybe you bring heavy armor, right? So like you bring a force of 4 emperors with giant guns and heavy armor, and they ask a question. Can you hurt me? If I'm running a bunch of scimitars, which are these little cool looking tanks that I love, you can't really hurt them. You just can't do enough damage. And so those are the kind of things I think if you're trying to win a game, your list needs to ask questions, like a swarm list, right? Can you stop me before I get on top of you and do bad things to you with particle bolt guns? CavCon, the official CavCon scenarios, tournaments are surprisingly, I say surprisingly, when I first looked at them, I thought, oh, these are just kill the other guy, win the game. But after I played in a few of them, I was like, no, John, you've actually done a good job of making the objectives count. There are a lot of objectives to do. Kill the enemy commander, get into the enemy's deployment zone, just control points on the board, lots of stuff like that. And it's so you could make a list whose job is to score those points as hard as possible. And that's when I like tournaments. Of course, I also like tournaments when I'm playing against people that aren't, trying to be jerks. And I've never encountered a jerk in a Cav game, but you hear stories, and I suspect there probably are people out there who are those kind of win at all cost players. And I don't want to end up in that category, but I like competing. It's fun. Like I said, typically I don't make a list designed to win. I just make a list that I want to paint, and then I try and win with that list. The War Master tournament was an exception. I made a list designed to win, and it won. I also came in third place in the regular CavCon tournament that year. So I won the War Master tournament, and I came in third in the regular tournament. So it was a good year for me. I got some prizes, and I bought a giant dictator, the resin one, which I have not put together yet, but And I got a really cool trophy for winning the War Master tournament, a model painted by Thunderhead Studios, of all people. It's downstairs on a nice custom base and sitting in my cabinet next to my painted figures. My tiny little trophy of 2019. I love wrestling. Man, I was into that when I was a kid. Yeah, exactly. Ilmarin, I would be, listen, as long as I'm having a good time, I'm 100% happy with losing. In fact, honestly, if I can, I just want to smile, and I want to see my opponent smile. So, if I have to lose for that to happen, I'm okay with that. But I want them to, I'm not there to just throw games and say, hey, you win. I want you to beat me. But, when you beat me, I'm just as happy as you are. So Krugerrand, it sounds like we got a team going on here. You organize the tournaments, and me and Ilmarin will play in it and have a good time, and then Tiger Wraith can win them. As long as he can beat Ross. Ross or Todd. Those guys are beasts. All right. A little bit more right here. So this is what I wish. I wish we all lived close enough. We could just actually get together at the local shop and do this in person. Boy, that would be just sweet, because that's what I want to do. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear about your week. I want to hear you guys talk. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what model you're interested in. I want to look over at the shelf and go, oh, that's what a goblin is. Oh, that thing is sweet. And then buy all the ones that Cthulhu left on the shelf. Oh, completely agree, Elmarin. 100% agree. 1,000% agree. Trillion% agree. It's a game. They're metal and plastic dollies. I'm not going to stress out about my dollies and their performance. I think I missed this back edge on that first model. I may have to go back and put this in. Oh, I forgot to play the background music today. Oh well, no big deal. Hope you guys don't mind. Totally forgot. I got the intro video music to work finally, and I was so happy I forgot to turn on the regular music. All right. Just going to call that guy good. I got to be done. Yeah, Cthulhu, that's me. I would love to play, like 20 tanks. I think that would be fun, but, tanks are, honestly, tanks are not, they're not the value proposition that you think that they might be in terms of their point cost. They're not significantly cheap. In fact, I suspect for the most part, tanks are less cost effective than calves in almost every situation. It's clear that can't be true all around, but I think in general that's true. It's a cav game, so you kind of expect it to be, cav focused. The best models are calves, and I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. That's kind of the way, scouts out front, and then whatever you got for a puncher behind it. That seems natural. What have you got downloaded? I missed the earlier part of that. Everything is vulnerable to point blank. Yes, absolutely, Cougaran. And the CavCon list I didn't get to play, the one I would have run last year. That was kind of my attitude there. I'm just gonna get the biggest, fastest particle bolt guns I could get and get them across the table and in your face as quickly as possible, and then just overdrive everything as much as possible. I'm just asking the question. Can I roll well? I guess how many sixes can I roll? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to run Spathas. That's what I'm looking forward to. Spathas or the Banshee. I own so many Banshees, it's stupid. I bet I own 16 Banshees at least, maybe more. And I've got those hedgehogs that are like not really models anymore that I really just want to make up like some kind of militia force, like a bunch of people that are, like just trying to defend their hometown against the invading Norsemen or something. I don't know. I have more ideas than time is the problem. That's always my problem. I have all the ideas for models and units and never enough time to actually paint them. That's one of the reasons I don't mind doing this show for John. I mean, even though my personal time is like at an all-time low lately. I mean, the amount of free time I have each week is, it would just, you would be worried for my mental health if you actually knew the number right now. So this is my painting time, and I'm happy for it. Hey, Krugerand, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you, please, if you get to, post about your game on Wednesday. I'm excited to see it. Maybe even over on the new forum. Hint, hint, please. Chieftains are fast PPG tanks. Yeah, it's interesting. Kyle, one of our Slogro players, he played one Cav and 3 or 4 Chieftains in his game, his first Slogro game. And I was really excited to see how they performed, but it didn't matter because he played, I won't say his real name. The player's nickname is I Roll Crits because he rolled 5+ crits in one night against that poor force, and it was not particularly close. Although there were certainly some funny things that happened. The I Roll Crits player had a dingo that was on its last damage point and tried to repair itself, critically failed, and destroyed itself with the critical repair roll failure. That was pretty comical. But other than that, it was kind of a lopsided battle. But I think Kyle's still kind of new at the game. I anticipate he'll be a much more menacing player in the next go-around. He will have much more lucks. He will make with the dice, and they will roll 6s. And bad things will happen. I forget who his opponent is. Maybe Chris? Maybe Cthulhu? I'm not sure. That's in the next round. Currently, Cthulhu is playing Ron, who I don't have any idea what his online handle is, so I'm just going to call him Ron because that's his name. And that's what you do with names. You use them to identify people. At least I think you do. Get this up here. Get that right there. Seems like I'm probably not quite going to finish these guys tonight, but that's all right. I'll get a little painting time in tomorrow to finish them. Tomorrow is date night. We're going to go see a movie. Not sure what. Maybe Into the Heights, that musical that's out. Or possibly Cruella. Not sure which one yet. We haven't been back to the movies too many times since they reopened. I definitely forgot to do this part on that previous model, so I need to go back in there. So we have the like a all you can watch movie pass thing at the local Regal Cinema. And I'm excited to get back to that because we always had basically we would have Tuesday nights we'd have a Critical Roller. Yes, Mr. Critical Role. Good luck with that, Cthulhu. If he rolls 5 crits against you, could be scary because his force has got a bunch of max in it. And they're just easy to roll crits with, and when they roll crits, they do bad things. So good luck with that. Like I said, my advice is roll 6s. That's what you need to do. Just make sure you roll 6s. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to the theater. Just like getting out, hanging out with my wife. Something fun to do in the middle of the week. Gives me something to look forward to when I'm at work. And movies are generally pretty good, even the ones that aren't like on my list of must-sees. I enjoy seeing them anyway. Oftentimes you'll find a diamond in the rough, and then sometimes you'll go see a movie you expect to be good, and you're like, oh my God, this is. You have to apologize to your wife because the movie's not. It was not what you anticipated. But that's okay. She's recommended her share of dogs over the years as well. She made me watch Hansel and Gretel, and I will never let her live that down. Hope she's listening. Sometimes she does. My way of picking on her. All right. Oh, got some more to do right here. Trying to step up the pace a little bit. Whatever we're having for dinner is being cooked right now. I can smell it. Makes me hungry. Yeah. All right. There we go. Maybe a little bit more right there. Charge backwards against a river. Oh, that's probably a recipe for picking a lot of models up off the table. So we used to play the White Wolf role-playing games when we were a younger married couple. We played a vampire and werewolf and mage, especially mage. I always loved the mage game for some reason. It just really just floated my boat. And man, I could roll critical fumbles in that game so easily. It was ridiculous. It was just terrible. But it was fun. They made for interesting games. Napoleonics. I love reading Napoleonic stuff, but I've never really gotten into it. That's just a lot of damn models to try and paint. And I am much more of a skirmish level guy because it's a chore to paint, and I don't want to be responsible for painting, blocks of 60 guys that are pretty much all the same. Not my cup of tea. Though I do like the looks of them. When I go to those kind of conventions, when I'm at a convention that has historicals, I love watching those historical guys play. The other thing I really like, that really attracts my attention, is like naval combat games, like World War II games where like you've got cruisers and battleships and whatnot like that. I mean, because let's face it, they're typically small battles. There's not a lot of terrain usually. But the problem is the ranges are so crazy. Yeah, Cthulhu. All right. If there was a good bolt action group around here, you could talk me into bolt action. I have a Conflict 47 army that I love. I would love to play that game. I've only played it once or twice. I haven't gotten it all painted, but man, I love the look of those models. So if you're into Conflict 47, hit me up offline. Maybe we could play some of that at some point. Not that I know how to play, but I know it's very similar to bolt action. So I could probably pick it up. British. I have Brits. So when I first got into it, there was a group down at our local store that was starting it up, and Brits was what was left. So I went with Brits, and I like the way they look. So yeah, I mean, come on, it's got big stompy robots, right? So that's what I'm into. Yeah, I could totally be down for some Conflict 47. I don't really know how to play. I've only ever played like 2 games, a game and a half, something like that. But I like that system. I like the look of those models. I like World War II as an interesting historical military time period, and the idea of adding weird war to it is great. I could get into bolt action. I mean, I prefer games with a fantasy element, but yeah. So yeah, absolutely, Cthulhu. If there was interest, I would love to learn how to play that game. If there were people that were interested in that, I would haul those models out and paint on them in a heartbeat. I mean, like I just last year I was buying models for that game, even though I haven't touched it. I discovered the Merlin. I think that's the name of the latest British Walker tanky thing. So I picked up a copy of the Merlin, or maybe 2. I can't remember. I feel like there were some alternate heads for it or something. I don't know. I can't remember all the details. But yeah, Conflict. So I love things with a how can I put it? With like an odd bent, right? Like fantasy or science fiction or whatever, right? So World War II, like bolt action would be a good enough game. If there was a great bolt action group locally, you could get me into just regular bolt action. But man, the idea of weird World War II is way better. The idea of fighting zombies and Nazi vampires and stuff like that, yep, bring it on. I'm in. I say that with the idea that, of course, I barely have time to even play Cav right now. But it's one of those things. It's one of those armies that I will never get rid of. I got rid of my Tau recently. Literally gave away probably $1,000 worth of Tau. I was just never going to mess with. Yeah, Nazi zombies. That's exactly what I want to play, Cthulhu. Let's do it. Too bad that little historical convention that was in town went away. That would be a great place for us to schedule a game. But I mean, yeah, if you want to try, if you know the rules well enough to teach me, I would be happy to drag my stuff out and see what we could come up with. Getting close to time, gentle folks, Cav players of note, Slow Grow League members, painters of Aquamex, hobby habits, smog dragons, tiger wraiths, all kinds of people out there in the Cav universe, the Caviverse. I'm hoping some of you will post up some fan fiction. He's got a section for that even. Seriously, folks, you need to go over, if you haven't already, go over to the forums and make an account, sign in, post some stuff. I would love for that to become the one-stop shop for, Cav news, so I could figure out where you guys are and what you're doing and get a sense of what you're painting and all that. That would be fantastic. I forgot to even mention this weekend, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, this weekend is Father's Day, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely, Elmarin. Totally would love to see some fiction in there. Who knows? Maybe, John needs fiction. I can't say anything. I'm just saying, like people that know how to write might find themselves called upon to contribute or requested, or who knows. I better not say anything else. I don't speak for the man. I'm just saying we could definitely use some more fiction. I want to know about some famous cab pilots. Who the best rock poets are. All right, a little bit right there. A little bit right there, right there. There. All right. Well, at least I got through the fire drakes. I still got this guy to do. Oh yeah, I meant to ask this earlier. If anybody's still around, I need a recommendation for a really matte sealer. Right. So the brand I used to buy at Hobby Lobby has changed the packaging, and I bought some, and it's satin. It's not matte. It says it's flat, but it's not. So if you have any recommendations for a really good matte top coat, a matte sealer, something that will really knock the shine down. Because like this, I don't know if you can see, get him on screen, but this guy's shiny, right? He's satiny, and I've coated him with, here, I'll grab it real quick. Model Master Clear Flat. And it's not matte enough. There used to be a different brand that Hobby Lobby carried, not brand, but a different Model Master can that was way madder than this. And so I'm looking for a replacement. If anybody knows of one, I would love to hear about it. That's all right, Ilmarin. That's all right. I'm sure somebody will. Tester's dull coat. So, all right. Maybe I'm going to hop on Amazon and see. Mini Painting Studios is a guy that painted some cabs for a while, and I know he had a really good recommendation for Tiger Wraith. I'm looking for a super matte sealer. So the one I used to buy, which was perfect, my store stopped carrying, and the replacement is more satiny, like this guy. I don't know if you can tell. So the paint that I paint this guy with is a little bit shiny, and when I sealed it with my flat coat, he's still shiny. Whereas these guys, who were sealed with the original stuff and painted with the exact same paint, to me, they're less shiny. So I'm looking for recommendations for something a really matte sealer. And yeah, Testers is a possibility. I don't think I've used them in a long time. It was Model Master. I can't remember the exact name of it. So I would go to Hobby Lobby and I would buy Model Master, but it was a different name here. But I just bought it for so often I stopped paying attention to it. I just knew what it looked like. So now I can't remember its name. But they don't carry it anymore, and this is the thing they had in its place, and I'm just not happy with it. It's just not matte enough. Oh, is that who makes that? Is that a Tester's product, Tiger Wraith? See, I don't know. I don't pay attention. I'm just cruising through life, hoping people will save me. All right. Speaking of saving me, my wife is going to get mad at me if I don't come have some dinner. So you guys can save me by telling me to get off the internets. Again, thanks everybody for stopping by. Lively conversation. Go over to Talon Games BattleNet and sign up, make an account, chit chat with me, with everybody. Let us know what you're doing. Share your progress, your work, your hopes, your dreams, your pictures. Scud, wow, nice to see you. But I'm just signing up, and thanks for the advice, Cab Crew. Yeah, I love hanging out with you guys. I look forward to it. John will be on Wednesday. I'm not on with John on Wednesdays anymore. My work and my personal life are just exploding right now in terms of their time consumption. So I had to give something up. So there's an hour back or so of my free time, which is not a bad thing. I would love to be on with John, but I just don't have time for it right now. So go and hang out with John, tune in Saturdays with Chris. He worked on the engineering vehicle, I believe, last Saturday, which looks really fantastic. I'm excited to have some of those for my tabletop. And join me back here next Monday. Be good to yourselves. It's important to take care of yourself. Your mental health, your physical health. I always encourage people to be good to others. Don't forget to be good to yourself. Say hi to your dad if you can. Take care, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.